Hey everybody, Jake, Product Manager with Sync Mind Safety here again for part two of our system walkthrough. In part one, we focused mainly on the administrative portal that was on the web. And this one's going to center around the native application that is used to actually administer trainings out in the field. So what you're looking at is a native application that is built to sync locally. And what that means is that if you sync this data when you have a connection, you can then go underground or somewhere where there is no internet and do all your trainings, have all your information accessible. And then when you come back into internet, you can hit sync and it'll save all that training and all that information back to the server. So it gives you the ability to go and do training and do things in places you couldn't before, like out in the field. So that part's pretty cool. So we're going to start by checking out the supervisor portal. So I'm going to log in as a dummy supervisor here. And the first thing it's going to do is show me the list of all the employees who directly report to me. So if I want to jump in here and see what trainings all my employees are up to date on, I can see that for their task codes and their SOPs. And I can also search the database of all employees if there's anybody else I need to check the training status on. So that handles the employee list. Next, we talked about campaigns on the admin portal, but this is where they get administered actually out in the field. So here's a list of all the campaigns that have been assigned to me as a trainer. And if I click on one, it's going to show me what people are assigned to that campaign. And if they're in black, they've completed the requirements. And if they're red, they haven't. So if I click on somebody in red, I can pop open whatever the assigned training was and actually take them through it. So in this case, the assignment was to complete a SOP document review. So once they read the document by clicking on that button, they would just sign off in here and hit save, and that would be all there is to it. They'd be done with that campaign requirement. So really quick, really powerful way to make sure everybody's getting the training that they need and centrally organizing it at the admin panel and administering it out in the field through this campaign tab. Next is the task codes tab. So this is just kind of an overview of all the training codes that are in our system, what assets belong to them, do they have checklists and competencies, and all of that kind of information. And here I can create and view assigned trainings. So if I see somebody out there and I know they need to go get trained on a certain piece of machinery or something, I could set up a new assigned training here and actually assign a trainer to go do it. And that's going to show up in their queue here when they're in the system. So when I see I'm assigned to be a trainer of something, all I have to do is click on them and it's going to automatically open the training that they need to get done and we can get down to business. And finally, there's the quick SOP tab. So as a supervisor, if I see somebody and I know they need to review and sign an SOP document, I can quickly and easily assign or train anybody on any SOP document right from here. So this box here is a search of our entire employee list. So I can pick anybody out of there. And this is all the SOPs that are in our system. So I can assign which SOP. And then all he has to do is push this button, view the document, and when he's done, sign off and save it, and his SOP training will be complete. So now we're going to jump from the supervisor portal into where you would actually start to administer the trainings. So I clicked into the checklist page here, and you see it, I'm signed in as Thomas Pittman, who we signed in as on the other page. And it also remembered that the last task code I was training on was a 301 Kubota. So if I wanted to change that, I could always pull open the menu up here and pick a different task code to train on. But we'll stick with the Kubota for now because that's a pretty good one for training. Pretty common. So again, I've got to search for what trainee I want to start working with here. So we'll just pick a guy off the list. And immediately, once I pick that trainee, we see a few interesting things happen. So first, it's looking at Mr. Travis Albert's SOP records and seeing if he has completed all the trainings necessary for completing the Kubota 5023. So you can see these are the ones in black that he's completed, but there's some here in red that aren't. So if I wanted to, I could click on one of those, review the document, sign for it, and boof, now it's red. Similarly, with the competencies, it looks like there's a competency checklist for this Kubota that Mr. Albert or Travis Albert hasn't completed. So if I click on that, it's going to take me over to the competency checklist to review and complete that. So we'll just cruise through real quick and pretend that we're rapidly training on this competency. And when I'm done, the trainer would sign, the trainee would sign in, and then he can put in his signature too when he hits submit complete. The training's been saved. So, and now if I go back to the 5023 page, I can see, cool, that's now black, no longer red, so he's completed that training. So once I've completed everything in red up here, we're ready to actually get started on the main checklist. So we'll cruise through that. And this would be the process as you just walk them through all the before and after startup operations, general operations, and all that good stuff. And it's a pretty big one, so we'll skip through most of it and just get down to what we see at the bottom here. Similar to the competency page, the trainer would sign, trainee would sign themselves in, put in a signature, and then hit submit complete, and that would save the 5023 form back to the admin portal. And I can also at any time, if I want to see that 5023 form from directly on the device, I can pop it open by hitting the 5023 form button up here and see a filled out version of that directly from the surface. So a pretty quick, pretty easy way to go through, not just competencies, but the SOPs and complete everything required to get a 5023 document for any piece of machinery on my site. So the last tab we haven't looked at is the annual research. So as you know, probably at the end of each year, beginning of the new year, all employees are required to go through the codes they currently have active and just mark yes or no on whether or not they want to remain active in those for the upcoming year. So as you can see, once I jump into the recertification tab, I can come up here, pick any of the employees who report to me, and when I pick them, it's going to go through the database and look at all the task codes that they've completed in the last year and give you the option to start to say yes or no to each of those. So both the supervisor and the employee would just cruise down the list and say yes or no to all of their trainings. And when they get down to the bottom, if they need training on a code they don't have a record for, they can say so here, and the supervisor can also request other trainings as well. And then once all the questions are answered yes or no, a signature box would appear down here and they could sign it and submit it. So once that's submitted, it shows up on our admin portal here as a completed record, and we can see the certifications as well as what their answers were to those questions on the yes no. And that's from directly in our admin portal of the annual recertification portion of the admin portal. So between all these three pages, you can pretty much get done any type of safety training that needs to be get done in order to generate a 5023 document in the mine. And coupled with the administrative portal, you can always have access to those documents from anywhere and have them searchable and easily printable and accessible. So by putting the app with the administrative backend portal, you've really got a very powerful system that allows you to manage paperless 5023 trainings and all mine safety training within the mine. So no more scanning, no more digging through files to try and find the right papers. Everything is right in front of you. It's all searchable, and it's always up to date. So that is the basic overview of the Sync Mine safety system. There are some other kind of more specialized details about it that we won't cover in the overarching walkthrough, but certainly if you have any other questions about what it can and can't do, feel free to contact us through the forum on our website. Thanks for watching, everyone.